I'm going to talk about the study that we've been doing the last couple of years. Our study is called Raising Grateful Children. Did you guys hear Coach McKeever thank her mom? Wasn't that nice? How many of you guys have gone through this practice of trying to raise children who have gratitude, who have ideas about this? Yeah. This isn't a talk where you start where people don't have pretty strong opinions about this. And I'm aware of that. But when we come into this and look at the science, there's not a lot of work on what you do to cultivate gratitude in children under 10 years old. And so when we got this funding, we initially wanted to start just looking at that question of how do we understand what gratitude is in children and what are parents doing at this point? I have been doing this with a team of wonderful developmental and clinical psychologists out of North Carolina. Amy Halberstadt is helping us from North Carolina State University. Her background is in emotional development. Phil Costanzo's background is in moral development. Irina Markova and Jennifer Kaufman are both at UNC Chapel Hill as well. And so this has been a great team effort that I'm grateful for this group of people and some wonderful students. We've had 118 families working with us so far to help us understand what we see parents doing with children and what works and what doesn't seem to work so well. And of course, we're thankful to the center and to Templeton for letting us do this work. So this is what we did. We started first by taking a look. And we wanted to find out what is it that gratitude looks like in young children. So there are a couple of ways people study kids over the years, right? They start with adults and they back it down and they start seeing what it looks like when you make it just smaller. The other way to do it is you start young and you let it grow and it's going to change. An example is if you look at something like the study of aggression, we think of aggression as being something like, biting or kicking when we see them in 2-year-olds. If we see a 30-year-old doing that, we don't think that's aggression anymore. That's something else. The same is true of so many things we might study, and we think that's probably true with gratitude as well. So a lot of the literature on gratitude has really taken this perspective of what do we see in adults? What's finished gratitude sort of look like? And we wanted to get a sense of what it looks like as it's developing up through kids. But because parents was our avenue for trying to understand what gratitude looks like in children, we first wanted to see what do they think it is. So if you have a discussion with parents about cultivating gratitude, just what are they trying to do? So we did a series of focus groups initially to try to get a sense of that. One of the things we found is there's a lot of different things we mean by gratitude when we talk with parents. Now, these were parents who have 6 to 9-year-old aged children, and these children are in independent schools and private schools. So we were talking about families in which they have needs. And we wanted to know, what do you mean when you're trying to cultivate this in your kids? And some of the answers look very much like some of the ideas of what gratitude are in the literature that you've heard today. Things like appreciation, things like it being a way of being. Other things may be something we think of as a little bit different. Things about enacting social justice, which may be a close cousin to gratitude, but may be slightly different than gratitude itself. The bottom line is there's a whole variety of things. And sometimes what we mean is we want our kids to grow up to be good people. We want them to be happy people. But the specifics of what that is a little bit less clear. Now, for those of you who have been out there doing parenting work and working with families, a lot of the parenting curricula that are out there, when we're looking a lot at kind of the systems of poor behavior, is trying to be clear about what it is you're trying to change. So what's that target that you're trying to do? If your kid was acting more grateful, what would that look like? And so we wanted to take some time with just what our definition is of gratitude in children and move forward from there. To do that, then, we brought in a definition of gratitude that's based on a developmental science model. And what I mean by that is a model that looks at gratitude as a process that unfolds. What we're interested in is something that will unfold in a moment, but also unfolds over time. And very much like you might think about driving a car, it kind of starts with one step. I'm going to adjust my mirrors. I'm going to put it in reverse. I'm going to go out of the driveway. And initially, we have a series of steps that you begin moving through, so you become to have the skill. But as you've got the skill down, it's spontaneous. You're not thinking about it. It's an automatic skill. And we think that when you look back at the development of gratitude, you may see this series of steps unfolding. And when you hear parents talk in these focus groups about the types of things they're doing to help their kids learn about gratitude, they map onto some of these steps. Some of these steps then are based then on what parents are telling us, parts of what gratitude looks like in the adult literature, and parts of what we know about emotion unfolding in kids over time. So when we talk about gratitude in kids, what we're talking about is something that starts with this initial step of just being aware. And so you've heard this as a lot of different terms today, paying attention to what's around you, noticing those things around you. And so some of the things you hear parents say is, oh, look at what Aunt Dottie gave you. Call attention to it. Do you see what that is? And we're talking young children. So in our 6-year-olds, we're often talking about that physical object that they might be paying attention to. As they get older, we might say, oh, that must have taken her a lot of effort. They gave you more than that thing you have sitting in front of you. What else was it that you received? So our first step is just awareness of what that thing is that you've received. Then we've got to move from there to gratitude by making some meaning of what it is you received. And we do that by what we think about it and how we feel about it. And these are the 2 steps of gratitude that we think makes it a little bit different from some of the other types of positive emotions we might look at. One is you have a positive emotional response to that. So we're talking kids. We may just have up and jumping up and down. I'm excited about this. It's kind of really quick and automatic. I have 9-year-old twins. The other day, we just moved into a new house, and while she was at school, I set her room up for her. She walked in, saw the room, ran down the hallway, and just jumped on me to give me a hug. A complete, utter expression of happiness in the moment. Those that you just sort of live for in children in some ways. Those positive emotions become much more refined, we know, as children get older. That when they're very young, and we listen to kids in our focus groups, they're often like, I feel good, I feel happy. And that may be sufficient. But what they do to understand the gift that they give, the attributions that they make about the gift that they've received, is what we think really makes it more gratitude. And those attributions have to do with it's something that you've received because they've willingly given it to you. And it's not something that you owe something back as a response. I'm going to resist the temptation to say a lot to try to connect that idea with the last panel we have, but I'd love to have that discussion with you in thinking about what those attributions look like that might make this process more like gratitude than other things that might be more problematic for us. So if we think about what a parent might say to their kid, they're bringing awareness to the event. They might make that attribution by saying, well, wasn't that kind of her? She didn't have to do that. Wasn't that kind? She must think you're special. Doesn't that feel good, the emotional component? So from this, we have a meaning about what that gift-giving meant, and from that, we believe that you see the gratitude behavior emerging. And parents might prompt this in ways by saying, oh, do you want to send her a picture to say thank you for that? Something we might see much more often. So this was our model that we had in going in to try to understand what parents are doing to cultivate gratitude in kids. And this is the study we did to get at that. We started by bringing in 100 parent-child dyads into our research lab to try to get a sense of what gratitude looks like. So when parents and children are interacting live in the lab in front of us around some process that might have gratitude unfolding in it, what are we seeing? So we did a number of observations of those interactions, surveys, interviews, and we've got lots of data from this that we're still working through, and I'll comment on that briefly. We then went out and sent parents into the field with a 7-day journal, and in their journals they were sending back to us the extent to which the kids were engaging in these different parts of gratitude each day, and the extent to which they were engaging in parenting behaviors to encourage gratitude in their children each day. So we have our daily gratitude data as well. And then a month later, we had parents tell us how their kids are doing so that we could take a look at what parts of gratitude are you engaging in, how's your kid doing, and how's that affecting you over a short period of time. So 2 big things I want to share with you to say this is kind of what we're coming up with in looking at this data initially is we took a look at one day to say what are kids doing. And this is a way of thinking about those steps of the gratitude process and how often people are just doing this with their children. So again, these are 6 to 9-year-old children at home. And what we see is this graph is showing you the percentage of kids on any given day whose parents said they engaged in being aware of a gratitude event or making attributions about that event that would engender gratitude, having positive affect regarding that receipt of something. And then we talked about the behaviors that might engage in a couple of ways. I'm from North Carolina. I'm in the South. We have cotillion. We have good manners. And I wanted to make a distinction between manners and social convention and gratitude. And so one of the things that we did in here is talk about behaviors which are consistent with good manners and those behaviors which go beyond good manners. Even our 6 to 9-year-olds could talk about, I said thank you, but I didn't mean it. So we wanted to take that into account. And when we see what kids are doing is, they're saying thank you quite a bit by their parents' report. That's the part that they're doing the best of this. Where they have more challenge is going beyond that to doing something that's more than good manners. And in particular, making meaning, those cognitive attributions about what they receive. And so those are the things they're least likely to do in this age period. And if you look at what parents are doing, parents are spending a lot of time in reinforcing the good manners, just saying thank you when you have something as well. They're spending a lot less time on the other parts of the gratitude process, making kids aware of what they've received, checking in with them about how they're feeling about it, helping them make sense and meaning of, well, why did they give that to you? And encouraging ways of showing gratitude that goes beyond good manners here. So what does that mean for us? This little peek at the data. So when we think about what we want to move toward and trying to understand gratitude in children, is we want to think about, what does gratitude mean? What are you trying to encourage? We would encourage parents to think about gratitude in their children as more of a process that involves more than showing good manners. That may be the beginning of where we're going, but when we think about these health benefits and these mechanisms we're looking at, we think it's probably more than social convention. We think we need to move a little bit deeper with that, and that's often what our parents are interested in as well. So to do that, we think the beginning of that process is helping kids become more aware of the gifts that they are receiving and drawing attention to that beginning of the process right there. Thank you.